He vanished after the final battle, not dead, just forgotten. The Hulk walked Earth with no name, no rage, no memory. A gentle giant, until his shadow started killing people. S.H.I.E.L.D. couldn't stop him. Doctor Strange wouldn't even try. But Thor remembered their bond and their war. So he came, with lightning and mercy. What happened next wasn't a battle. It was a scream through time. Because the Hulk wasn't alone in his mind anymore. The snow whispered in Siberia, silent and eternal. No one spoke his name, because no one knew it. They only called him the Gentle Mountain. He lived in the woods beyond the mining town, bare feet stained with mud, skin green and scarred like tree bark. Children brought him bread. Women whispered prayers when he passed. He smiled, bowed his head, and disappeared before sunset. He never spoke, not even once. He built shelters with his bare hands, carried injured elk across rivers, and lifted fallen trees like twigs. No anger, no fire, just peace. But peace doesn't last. The first body was found near the abandoned rail tunnel. Crushed spine, ribcage folded inward, teeth shattered. Locals said it was a bear, then another, then 5. No claw marks, just force, tremendous, precise force. The villagers stopped bringing bread. The children were pulled inside by mothers whose eyes refused to blink. The Gentle Mountain watched from the trees, confused. His eyes flickered in the dark. Something new behind the kindness. Something wild. He tried to remember who he was. All he saw were flashes. A red-haired woman falling. A silvered giant screaming. A hammer crashing into fire. A face. His own face. But wrong. Roaring. Violent. Alone. And then nothing. S.H.I.E.L.D. knew. Satellites caught glimpses. Trees torn from roots. Frozen lakes split like glass. The quiet giant was breaking. But when they sent drones, the footage glitched. When they sent agents, the snow buried their bodies before recovery. Someone or something was hiding him from the world. That's when Thor arrived. He landed without warning. Just lightning and a crater of scorched ice. The clouds above wept thunder. He stood tall, cape swirling. Mjolnir humming like it remembered the green beast too. He didn't come as an avenger. He didn't wear the colors. He came as a brother to a friend he once knew. A brother to a war that never ended. He found him by the river. The Hulk was crouched near a broken log, watching fish swim through the thawing current. A childlike wonder in his eyes. Thor called out. No answer. He approached slowly, each step careful, waited with memory. You used to throw mountains, Thor said softly. Now you whisper to fish? The Hulk blinked at him, confused, curious, calm. Thor knelt. He didn't raise the hammer. Do you know me? The green giant tilted his head, like a dog hearing a familiar sound from a faraway life. His hand reached toward Thor, trembling, as if trying to grasp something he couldn't see. And then it changed. His eyes rolled back, his jaw clenched, and something inside him spoke, but it wasn't him. I know your bones, it growled, voice layered with distortion. I crushed them once. Thor's breath froze. His fingers gripped the hammer's handle. The Hulk blinked again, but this time he looked afraid. I didn't mean to, he whispered. First words in months. His own voice. And then he ran. Through trees. Through stone. Through silence. His feet cracked frozen earth. Every step made the mountains tremble. He didn't roar. He didn't fight. He fled. Thor followed. Above the trees, lightning chased green fury. Thunder cracked the sky as gods hunted memories buried too deep. Hours passed until Thor found him again in a ravine curled beneath a shattered cliffside. He wasn't the Hulk anymore. He was something smaller, human, Bruce Banner, shirtless, freezing, shaking in the snow. I don't know who I am anymore, Banner gasped, skin pale, lips blue. But I feel something inside digging out. Thor dropped the hammer beside him and sat. You remember Ultron? Thor asked. Banner nodded. Barely. You remember New York? He nodded again, slower. You remember me? Banner looked up, eyes red. I remember thunder. Thor smiled faintly. Good. That's where we begin. But Banner's face twisted. His veins darkened. His breath stopped. His spine cracked, not from transformation, but from resistance. No, Banner choked. It's awake. Not me. The scream that followed shook the ravine. It was a Hulk's voice. It wasn't Banner's. It was deeper, something alien, ancient, echoing from dimensions folded between mind and muscle. And the body changed. Not into the Hulk. Into something else. 8 feet tall. Green, but glowing veins pulsing purple. A face half Hulk, half skull. Eyes that didn't blink. Arms that looked too long for Earth. Thor stood. The thing stood too. You're not him, Thor said. I wear him, the thing replied. And he begs me to stop. Thunder answered. Mjolnir flew to Thor's hand with a snap that cracked the sky. The thing laughed and charged. The first punch broke sound. The second shattered stone. The third collided with the hammer, and the world held its breath. Blow after blow. Fist against God. Thunder against memory. Thor wasn't trying to win. He was trying to wake the real Hulk. And in every strike he spoke. Remember Wakanda. Remember Stark. Remember her, Natasha. With every word, the creature screamed louder. Not in pain, in fury, in defense, as if trying to drown out a truth it couldn't kill. Until finally, a tremble. The creature staggered. Its face twitched. One eye flickered green. And from inside it, a voice. Thor. Not a growl. Not a monster. A man. Broken. Tired. Remembering. And then the creature collapsed. Thor dropped to one knee, breath ragged. Snow fell again. Softly. The giant didn't rise. But neither did Thor strike again. Because for the first time in months, the Hulk wasn't running. He was listening. And something inside had begun to crack. Not stone. Memory. The crater still steamed where the creature fell. Thor stood over the body, not moving, not speaking. His knuckles bled, even through divine skin. Mjolnir floated beside him, humming low, as if warning, it isn't over. The green figure twitched. A cough. Then a voice, tired, broken, human. Thor? Bruce Banner opened his eyes. He was whole. For now. Thor didn't smile. He stepped closer, warhammer at his side, ready for anything. Do you know your name? He asked. Banner nodded slowly. Do you remember what you are? A pause. And then, I'm the mistake. That was enough. Thor lowered the hammer and helped him up. He was shivering, not from cold, but from the weight of memory. I tried to get rid of him, Banner said, walking slowly beside Thor, boots dragging across crushed stone. I made a deal. Thor looked sideways. With what? I don't know. Not a god. Not magic. It came to me when I was drifting through space. Said it could make me peaceful again. Said I wouldn't hurt anyone ever again. And you believed it? I wanted to. They reached a ridge. Below, clouds coiled around mountaintops like dying dragons. Wind howled. The sun bled orange behind black peaks. And it took the Hulk? Thor asked. No, it took my rage, Banner replied. The Hulk was never just strength. He was grief, guilt, fire. I thought I could live without it. I didn't realize something else would take its place. Thor clenched his jaw. It's still inside you. I know. Silence settled between them like falling ash. Then Thor lifted the hammer and pointed to the sky. A flash. A portal ripped open, circular, gold, sparking with runes. Doctor Strange stepped through, robes fluttering, eyes already narrowed. You called for backup? Banner asked. No, Thor muttered. I called for truth. Strange didn't greet them. He simply floated closer and stared into Banner's eyes. What you're carrying isn't bound to you by science, Strange said. It's not gamma. It's not trauma. What is it? Banner whispered. Strange's voice dropped to a near whisper. It's wearing you like a mask. Banner stepped back. You're saying it's a parasite? I'm saying it learned your emotions and is now evolving past you. Thor raised his hammer again. So we destroy it. Strange shook his head. No, that would destroy him. Then what do you propose? We remind him who he really is. Banner laughed bitterly. And how do you do that? Strange floated higher. Let him see what he's done. He snapped his fingers. A rune burst from the air, and reality cracked open. Images exploded into the space between them. Cities burning, shield bases torn apart, satellites crashing, agents screaming. Dozens of deaths, and in every one, a green blur, faster than Hulk, more violent than ever. Banner dropped to his knees. I didn't know. Strange hovered beside him. You didn't want to. You don't understand. I do, Strange said. Because I saw your memories, Bruce. You begged to forget. Banner's fists clenched in the dirt. I wanted peace, he whispered. You got silence, Thor snapped, and left the rest of us to deal with the storm. Something shifted. The air darkened. The light from Strange's portal fizzled, and Banner looked up, but his eyes weren't his anymore. Green and black swirled together. The other voice returned. We remember now, it said. Strange stepped back. Brace yourselves. The Hulk didn't transform. He split. A second form peeled off Banner's body, like smoke turning solid. 10 feet tall, green and black, rippling with unnatural muscle, eyes boiling with light. It grinned. You gave us your pain, it said to Banner. Now, we wear your name. Then it turned to Thor. And you. Mjolnir struck before it finished the sentence. The creature flew backward into the mountainside, exploding rock and snow across the slope. It laughed as it stood, not even bruised. Thor's voice boomed. You're not him. No, it agreed. But I'm the part of him that liked being a god. It lunged. This time, Thor didn't hold back. They clashed mid-air, lightning exploding from impact. Strange erected a shield around Banner as shockwaves cracked the entire ridge. Hulk, the real Hulk, was gone again. Buried under this thing's control. Thor fought to reach him. Every strike was a story of Avengers, of loss, of fire. Thor roared names: Steve, Natasha, Tony, each one a lightning bolt in Hulk's buried heart. The creature winced. Its swings got wilder, less precise. Thor pressed the advantage. Do you remember Sokovia? A flash in the eyes. Do you remember Ragnarok? The creature screamed. And for 1 second, one sliver of silence, the mountain stopped moving. The creature fell to its knees. And from inside it, Hulk whispered, Thor. He was still there. Strange stepped forward, hands glowing. If we're going to end this, now is the time. Banner, still kneeling, reached out weakly. No, not yet. Strange raised a brow. Why? Because he's not the only one in there, Banner said. There's someone else. Even Thor paused. Who? He asked. I don't know, Banner murmured. But it doesn't want me. It doesn't want the Hulk. Then what does it want? Strange asked. Banner's voice trembled. It wants everyone. The air cracked. The creature screamed again, but this time, the voice split in two. One voice was Hulk. The other? Not from this universe. Thor backed away slowly. We're not fighting a parasite. Strange nodded grimly. We're fighting a seed. The mountain shook again, but this time it wasn't from a punch. It was growing. And inside the crater, the creature, no longer just Hulk, no longer just a possession, began to change shape. Sharper, larger, its body wrapped in unnatural armor, its chest glowing with something not of Earth. Strange whispered, he's becoming something else. Thor raised his hammer. No, Banner said. Everyone turned. Banner stood tall, cracked and trembling, but whole. I'm going in, he said. You won't come back out, Strange warned. I know. Thor stared at his old friend. Banner looked him in the eyes. You reminded me of who I was. He turned to Strange. Now let me remind it. And then, without waiting, Bruce stepped forward, straight into the light, into the Hulk, into the thing that had replaced him, and vanished. What happened inside that body, no one saw. But outside, the mountain went still. The sky turned red, and from the center of the crater, a roar shattered the clouds. The roar didn't sound like Hulk. It didn't sound human. It didn't even sound alive. It sounded like the earth tearing open. Thor slammed his boots into the ground as the shockwave blasted across the ridge, throwing Strange backward and ripping entire slabs of mountain into the air. Snow turned to steam. Rocks shattered mid-flight. Birds fled in every direction, and then everything went silent. Too silent. Thor tightened his grip on Mjolnir. He didn't call Hulk's name, because whatever climbed out of the crater wasn't him. A shadow rose first, then a shoulder the size of a truck, then a head green, but covered in dark, bone-like plating that opened and closed like living armor. The eyes glowed white-hot, radiating heat strong enough to melt ice on contact. It looked at Thor, and Thor felt something he had never felt before. Not fear, recognition, as if this thing had worn Hulk's memories, Hulk's strength, Hulk's pain, and built itself into something new, something worse. Strange floated beside Thor, cloak fluttering violently. "He's not merged," Strange whispered. "He's rewritten." The creature stepped forward, the ground sinking under its feet. And then it smiled. Not Hulk's smile. Something else. Banner tried. It said, voice layered like three beings speaking at once. He scratched at the walls. He broke his fingers. He screamed your name. Thor raised Mjolnir. "Where is he?" "Inside," the creature replied, watching me take everything he couldn't protect. Lightning exploded across the sky as Thor roared and charged. He swung Mjolnir with enough force to split mountains. The creature caught it, bare-handed. Mjolnir sparked violently, rejecting the grip of a being unworthy of its touch. But the creature didn't flinch. It simply pushed Thor back with a shove that sent him skidding across the ridge, carving a trench 100 feet long. Strange snapped open a rune circle, firing a beam of golden sorcery straight into the creature's chest. It absorbed it and exhaled a blast of purple-green energy that shattered Strange's spell like glass. Thor leapt again, lightning trailing behind him like a comet. Every strike he delivered ignited the sky. Every punch from the creature cracked the mountainside. The fight wasn't equal. It wasn't even fair. Thor hit to break. The creature hit to erase. Each blow carved deeper into the earth. Thunder cracked open clouds. Avalanche-sized chunks of snow collapsed down the slopes. The world felt too small for the two of them. Thor smashed Mjolnir against the creature's jaw, launching it upward into the sky. He soared after it, lightning roaring around him. High above the clouds, the creature twisted midair and slammed both fists into Thor's chest. The impact hurled the god of thunder through the atmosphere, turning him into a streak of fire. He crashed into a frozen lake miles away, instantly evaporating the entire surface. Before Thor could rise, the creature descended like a meteor, smashing into him with a crater-sized shockwave. Thor coughed blood, real blood. It had been years since a blow drew blood from him. Strange arrived in an instant, teleporting the creature back with a dimensional shove, fracturing the air like broken glass. The creature cracked its neck as it stood, unfazed. "We need Hulk," Strange said urgently. Thor spat blood onto the ice. "He's gone." "No," Strange corrected. "He's fighting. I can feel him." Thor stared at the creature again, and for the first time he noticed it. Something inside the monster wasn't stable. Its shape flickered, its muscles spasmed, its glow dimmed, then surged, then dimmed again. "Banner is resisting," Strange said. "He's tearing it apart from the inside." The creature roared, not in triumph, but in agony. It launched itself at Strange, but Thor intercepted, slamming a lightning-infused strike into its ribs. The creature crashed through boulders and trees, skidding across the valley floor. It rose unsteadily, hands shaking. Thor stepped forward. "I know you hear me. All of you. Bruce. Hulk." The creature shuddered. Its eyes flickered, white then green then white again. And then Hulk's voice soft, strained, desperate. "Thor, help." Thor didn't waste the opening. He summoned a storm. Not a normal storm. Not rain. Not wind. Not thunder. He summoned the kind of storm only a god can call. The kind that splits continents and turns skies into oceans of fire. Lightning struck down in pillars surrounding the creature, trapping it in a cage of electric fury. The air vibrated. The earth cracked. The sky burned. But the creature didn't fall. Instead, it punched one of the lightning pillars and shattered it. Thor stared in disbelief. That isn't possible. Strange's face darkened. He's evolving faster than we can hurt him. The creature staggered toward them, one step at a time, as if forcing its own broken body to obey. Hulk's voice screamed from inside, muffled fighting. "I'm still here." Then another voice overlapped, deeper, older, from somewhere beyond reality. "You are nothing." The creature lunged. Thor countered with a full-powered swing of Mjolnir, the impact exploding like a supernova. It launched the creature through the valley and into a cliff, burying it beneath thousands of tons of rock. Then the whole mountainside collapsed on top of it. The world shook. Silence. Snow drifted. Thor lowered his hammer, panting. But Strange didn't relax. He pointed at the rubble. "Thor, do you feel that?" Thor closed his eyes and felt it too. A heartbeat. Slow. Growing. And then the mountain exploded. The creature flew out, wrapped in stone and flame. Body now larger, nearly 15 feet tall. Veins glowing brighter, as if absorbing the energy of every blow, every storm, every spell. Strange whispered, "It's feeding on you." The creature landed gently on the snow, steam rising from its skin. It looked at Thor with hollow eyes, then turned to the sky. The clouds tore open. A beam of green fire shot upward, cutting through the atmosphere like a blade. The air trembled from pure power. Strange nearly fell backward. "Thor, he's calling something." Thor lifted Mjolnir. "Then we end this now." But before he could strike, a voice thundered from inside the creature. Not Hulk, not Banner, something else. He remembers everything. The creature gripped its own skull, screamed, twisted, and for a brief, terrifying moment, Thor saw two figures fighting inside one body. Bruce Banner, the human, the Hulk, the Titan, and a third presence, dark, ancient, ripping them apart. Thor tightened his stance. Strange braced himself, because the storm wasn't coming. The storm had already begun, and the creature, now fully awakened, looked down at them as the sky split open like a wound. The sky didn't just split, it bled. Above them, reality peeled open in a vertical scar, green fire spilling out like a second sun. Inside that burning wound, shapes moved, alien, colossal, watching. Thor tightened his grip on Mjolnir. Strange conjured layered runes, preparing a dozen spells at once. And the creature, the rewritten Hulk, stood tall beneath it all, shaking, snarling, cracking apart under its own evolution. Banner's voice screamed from inside, hoarse, barely audible. "I can't hold it. I can't hold it anymore." Thor stepped forward, but the creature slammed its fists into the ground, and the mountain collapsed beneath their feet. The entire ridge caved in, dropping them into a hollow chamber carved by raw force. The world above disappeared behind a storm of dust. Strange floated midair. Thor landed hard. The creature limped through rubble, eyes flickering between Hulk and something darker. "Banner." Thor roared. "If you're still in there, fight." "I did," Banner's voice choked out. "I lost." A moment of silence. Then another voice came through, smooth, cruel, and not of this world. "He gave me the door," it said, mocking. "He just wanted peace." Strange hovered closer. "Tell me what you are." The creature smiled. "The first rage, the one before gods. You call yourselves Avengers, but I remember when stars bled." It wasn't lying. Every word dripped with gravity, bending the air. Thor launched upward, hurling Mjolnir into the beast's chest. It cracked through skin and bone, but the creature barely stumbled. It caught the hammer on the rebound, held it, twisted it, and shattered it. Mjolnir broke in half. Lightning died instantly. Thor's breath caught, not in pain, in disbelief. For the first time in his immortal life, the storm left him. He fell to one knee. The creature towered over him, but it didn't kill him. Instead, it turned to Strange. "You're the gatekeeper," it hissed. "I don't want Earth. I want access." Strange widened his eyes. "Access to what?" "The one below all," the voice said. Even Strange flinched, because that wasn't just lore. That was a forbidden name. The thing continued, body twitching. "You opened a crack. Banner's pain let me in. Hulk's rage feeds me. And now, I ascend. It pointed toward the bleeding sky above, and the crack began to widen. Thor rose, bleeding, holding the broken handle of Mjolnir like a club. You don't ascend, you fall. But the creature ignored him. And for a second, just 1 second, its body wavered. Inside the chest, a flicker, a heartbeat. Banner. Strange saw it too. Thor now. Thor lunged. He didn't aim for the creature. He aimed into it, straight through its chest, slamming the broken handle of Mjolnir like a dagger into the glowing core of its being. And it screamed. Not in rage, in pain. Real human pain. Banner screamed. The creature thrashed. Lightning struck from above. The entire cavern exploded in light. And when the fire cleared, the body lay still. But it didn't vanish. It just breathed. Quiet, barely moving. Thor collapsed beside it. Strange hovered down, scanning it with trembling hands. He's still alive, he said, but he's between worlds. Thor looked at the open sky. The wound was still bleeding. Something was still coming, and Banner was barely holding the door shut from the inside. The crater steamed. Rubble glowed. Silence fell like a judgment. Thor stood over the body. No longer just Hulk, no longer just Banner, but something in between. Strange circled above, watching the sky. Wound trembled like it could collapse or open wider with every second. Inside the creature's chest, something pulsed, like a second heart. It wasn't green, it wasn't red, it was black. A gateway. Strange's voice broke the silence. He's holding the breach open barely. Thor didn't speak. He walked forward. Kneeling beside the body, he placed his hand on its chest. "Hear me," Thor whispered. "You are Bruce Banner. You are the Hulk. You are not this thing." The chest twitched. A breath. Then a growl. Faint. Not monstrous. Familiar. I remember. Banner's voice cracked through the creature's mouth like light through glass. "Then fight," Thor said. "You've always been fighting." Another breath. The hand moved. And then the sky screamed. A shape began forcing itself through the wound above. Not a body, not a creature, just pressure. Darkness. Infinite. Swirling green chains of energy wrapped around it like broken prayers. Strange fell to his knees. "It's the one below," he gasped. "It's coming through." Thor raised his broken hammer handle. "Banner," he said, "if you're still in there, this is your moment." Everything shook. The crater cracked apart. And then, the creature moved. Not with fury, not with chaos, with purpose. It rose to its knees, then its feet. Staggered, yes, but rising. Its body peeled back like layers of armor cracking off. The bone plating, the corruption, gone. Steam hissed from every joint. And when the light faded, he stood. Not the monster, not the possession. The Hulk. Whole, clean, silent. He looked at Thor, then at the sky, and then he leaped. Straight into the wound. No hesitation, no words, just raw sacrifice. The moment he hit the breach, the sky convulsed. Thunder and darkness exploded like two gods colliding in reverse. Every mountain shook, every light dimmed. Thor shouted, "Hulk!" But the tear in the sky had already begun to close. Hulk's body pulsed once in the clouds, a final green flash. Then gone. The wound sealed. The pressure dropped. The storm died. Silence again. Strange landed, cloak torn. He did it. He forced the breach shut from the inside. Thor didn't move. He just stared at the empty sky where his brother in war had vanished. Strange stepped forward. We may never see him again. Thor didn't look away. He was always the strongest, he said quietly. Then he turned and walked away. No victory cry. No celebration. Just the echo of the roar that had saved the world. 6 days later, a forest burned in Eastern Europe. But at the center of the flames, nothing moved. Until a tree bent, and something massive stepped out of the smoke. A green foot, then a leg, then a hand, holding a piece of broken bone armor ripped from something ancient. The figure rose fully from the smoke, calm, centered, eyes glowing gold now, not green. He looked up at the stars. Not lost, not broken, not possessed. Just one voice, one name, Hulk. And he remembered everything.